Of God, I don't view it as an act of God. I would view it as something that just surprised the whole world. And if people would have known about it, it could have been stopped in place. It could have been stopped right where it came from, China. If we would have known about it, if they would have known about it, it could have been stopped in its tracks. Unfortunately, they didn't decide to make it public. But the whole world is suffering because.
And now for the death toll in Italy to have, well, of course, we don't know what the real numbers are from China because even our intelligence community tells us that we cannot trust the numbers coming out of China.
Reaction to this stay-at-home order for 40 million souls in the state of California.
Good evening. We have known all along this was going to get worse, especially as more people are tested, and it certainly has. In some states and cities, the running tally of people infected by coronavirus has doubled, over 3,600 here in New York City alone. And as each day passes, some of the things we thought we knew about this virus have changed, like the risk to younger patients.
At this point in New York City, based on the 10 a.m. number, 3,615 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in New York City. Again, each of those a human being and a family represented. That number has undoubtedly gone up since 10 a.m.
They're fighting a war here and they're losing. The sheer numbers of people succumbing to the coronavirus is overwhelming every hospital in northern Italy. The staff are working flat out trying to keep these people from deteriorating further. They're trying to stop them from dying. This isn't an intensive care unit, it's an emergency ward. The ICU is full. People have only just arrived here and they're in terrible shape.
Just learned to all of you that Italy has now surpassed China's death toll, which is extraordinary. 3,405 people have died in Italy. And this is a country, as was explained on MSNBC last night, Mika, by Rachel Maddow. Italy had a very highly rated medical system. Their health system is one of the best. It's a high, well-developed health system, especially in Lombardy, in northern Italy, which is one of the richest parts of Italy, and yet they were unable to respond because of a lack of national.
Ban from people coming in from China long before anybody thought it was. In fact, it was your network. I believe they called me a racist because I did that.
I just want to bring you some breaking news from the Bank of England. They've said that they're going to cut interest rates to 0.1%. That is yet another cut the Bank of England have made over the last few weeks. Basically down to as close to zero as it can go.
They thought they'd be treating so many so quickly. And it's not like flu. It is chronic pneumonia, and it is killing hundreds each day.
There are now 15 patients.
The doctors say they've seen nothing like it before and are warning other countries, especially the United Kingdom, that they will see it as well.
People who keep describing this as like flu. It's worse than that, no?
No, it's totally another thing. I think it's most pneumonia, more pneumonia than flu.
Countries close their borders. Travelers, including thousands of Americans, are stranded, struggling to find a way back to the U.S. The State Department tonight raising its global travel advisory to its highest level, telling Americans who live in the U.S. not to travel abroad, and U.S. citizens living overseas to stay put.
Hard to believe, but most of the casinos have shut down, and with those, the jobs of all the people who make that city go.
Sadly, this full-blown global crisis might have been prevented, or at least mitigated, if not for the corrupt actions of the communist Chinese government. According to this top study from a British university, 95% of all coronavirus cases may have in fact been prevented if China didn't try to hide and cover up this deadly disease at every important moment. And as the president indicated earlier today, he's been saying it really more loudly than anyone else I can think of, China cannot be trusted. Take a look.
On China, they reported for the first time since the outbreak no new cases over a 24-hour period. Do you have any reason to disbelieve them?
As far as believing what they're putting out now, I hope it's true. Who knows? But I hope it's true.
In their 50s, there's just been a build-up of dead people. Yeah, there are burials about every 30 minutes now in the cemetery of Bergamo. It's complete isolation now. So even for the patients that arrive, most of them see their family when the ambulance goes to pick them up, and then there's no contact even until the moment of their death and their funeral.
It's a crisis that could well require a significant military response, Britain's last line of defence.
From a UK national perspective, we are dealing with a crisis of its scale and in its nature that we've not seen in peacetime. And we need to remember that for 30 years, we've not had to think about our national resilience. So we're beginning to find out just how brittle we are.
Up to 20,000 service personnel, including reservists, will be put on standby to help provide this resilience.
Hospitals already being felt across this country. Word that some ICUs are near capacity as the number of cases soars. And tonight, the doctors who say they do not have what they need. Here's ABC's chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman.
Tonight, one of the biggest expansions in hospital space in American history. From coast to coast, temporary hospitals being built at breakneck speed. This field unit for coronavirus patients under construction on a soccer field outside Seattle. And this as emergency room officials fear being overrun when the virus peaks.
We don't have coronavirus. Patients are still coming in with strokes and cancer and heart attack. I can't be passing along coronavirus to them.
And perhaps we'll understand it better. There is a drug, two drugs, they're very similar. Chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine. They've been used for decades for malaria as well as for the treatment of certain autoimmune diseases like lupus. It's a very inexpensive drug. It's tried and true. It's been around for a long time. There's been anecdotal, non-proven, anecdotal data that it works. When people give it to someone, it makes them better. But when you have an uncontrolled trial, you can never definitively say that it works.
The first congressman to test positive for COVID-19. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, this is a big headline. Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, a veteran lawmaker, Republican from South Florida, a part of the storied Diaz-Balart family in Florida, Cuban-American politics. He tested positive. He has said that he was self-quarantining since Saturday.
The coronavirus has not only attacked the health of thousands, but also threatened the livelihoods of millions. Day by day, businesses are being forced to make drastic changes, reduce hours, or close altogether. Markets today were able to gain a little ground after a week of steep declines, the Dow closing up nearly 1%. The damage to the job market is laid bare as applications for unemployment benefits surged by 70,000 last week, something that's only expected to get worse.
And an unwelcome milestone in many ways, because the number of COVID-19 deaths has risen by 427 to 3,405, which means that it is overtaking or has overtaken China's.
In the German city of Oberhausen, dozens waited in line at a mobile testing centre to be screened. Workers from the fire department and Red Cross taking samples from drivers in their vehicles. A sign directed people not to leave their cars or open their windows while waiting.
In Spain, the death toll from the coronavirus has increased dramatically and now stands at 803. The number of confirmed cases has also risen rapidly to over 17,000. More than 900 people are in intensive care. Spain has been under lockdown since Saturday, with residents required to stay in their homes for all but essential travel. Spain's neighbour Portugal has also declared a state of emergency to fight the pandemic. The new measures allow the government to restrict movement of people, ban protests and social or religious meetings, and temporarily suspend the rights of key workers to strike. Portugal has 785 confirmed cases of the coronavirus so far, with 3 reported deaths.
Tonight, inside intensive care units across the country, the CDC says nearly half of all coronavirus patients fighting for their lives are younger than 65. While often deadly for the elderly, the virus is now taking more lives of those who are not senior citizens. The young not only catching the illness at higher and higher rates, but also spreading it.